Coming from where we come from, we're taught education is key to making it out, a key that will open doors. It will lead us to things we only dreamt about. It will set us apart from the others, and it will be the reason why we think, we see, and we move different. Today's episode, I have the honor and privilege to vibe with my guest, a childhood friend, more like family, Miss Christine Jenkins. Pardon me, I mean Dean Jenkins. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
How you
Blessed to
doing?
be.
How you doing?
I'm well. Can't complain.
Of course.
Right now the weather is a little hot and sticky. I'm in New York, but other than that, all is well.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Let's get into question one. Professionally speaking, what do you do?
Overall, I work with children. My title is Dean of Students. So to the capacity in which I work in an elementary school currently right now. So my job is working with children, being hands-on with students.
Okay, and then do you like it?
No, I won't say that I like it. I love it.
You love it?
I
Okay.
I love
So
what I
what?
do. I
So what?
love being able to be in the forefront and be student facing. So I
Okay.
love that.
So when you say the forefront, what does that mean?
The forefront basically means just being in the front, being that familiar face that kids get to see every day.
Okay.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
Okay. That's good. It sounds like you love it. So why did you focus your career path on education?
I decided to go down this path, in all honesty, because of my son.
Okay.
My son taught me a valuable lesson very early on in his life. As his mom, being inside of his school, seeing how things operated,
Mm-hmm.
it made me a lot more education driven.
Okay.
And of course, with raising a Black man, especially of darker skin tone,
Right.
it was imperative for me to be focused and be propelled. So I would have to say because of my son.
Okay. Walk us through your journey as a dean or becoming the dean.
Again, just things within the educational system, I felt like certain things can be slighted, especially when it
Okay.
comes to the marginalization, when it comes to students of color. There were so many things that was able to pull me in and gravitate towards just paying attention. It's very important to be around kids that look like us. Um, we are considered their heroes and vice
Mm-hmm.
versa.
Right.
So that was pretty much like the start of everything.
Of course. I still remember my teachers, and I've been out of school for a long time, so you got to make an impact on these children's lives. So with
That
that
you
being,
do. And I
you
feel
do.
like, yep, I feel like with that, there's a twofold, right?
Uh-huh.
Being that we come from where we come from, we remember the teachers that had the good impacts, but then we remember those that were not so nice, those
Right.
that were not so kind. Again, I just wanted to make sure with me stepping into such heavy work that requires a lot of passion,
Okay.
you cannot teach passion. It's the educational field is a very dry, cutthroat, black and white kind of thing.
Okay.
You can learn a lot, you can develop a lot, but when it comes to the overall passion, you can't teach that.
Yes. You're right. So with that being said, because a lot of jobs, a lot of careers, people just take because they want a paycheck. But when it comes to your career field, do you really have to love children to do what you do?
I'm going to say yes.
And
With
why?
certain positions that are in education, especially with the role that I'm in, because
Mhm.
I'm always in the front. I'm always going to be called for small or big things, regardless of whatever situation is. If I have to be able to de escalate a conflict,
Right.
being in the forefront and being very present and being very active in the moment, you have to like what you do. You have to like the children,
Right.
regardless of whatever the circumstances is, you have to like it. But the flip hand side to that, let's just say you climb the ladder and you become a superintendent.
Okay.
You're not necessarily in the forefront when it comes to children on a day-to-day basis, but you've gained that experience, you've gained the knowledge, you've gained the wisdom. So there's a certain things that comes behind the scenes with that. But when you are a teacher, you're a paraprofessional, you're a dean, you're a TA, which is somebody that's a teacher's assistant. So things like that regarding those titles, and even a principal, you really do have to enjoy what you do.
Okay. So for those who don't know, what does your role consist of on a
My
day-to-day
role,
basis?
yes, my role consists of helping to combat behaviors.
Okay.
My role consists of dealing with families that may struggle, that may need assistance on the outside, a little bit from a larger scale that happens that may take place into the school. But for the most part, I'm there to help deal with behaviors and to help the students grow and deal with coping mechanisms. That's what a
Okay.
dean does.
Okay. So give me an example of how you would handle this scenario. I'm a student that's in need. I come to school. My classmates, they pick on me because I'm less fortunate. And I just snap. I don't want to listen to nobody. I don't care about anything. How would you handle that situation to calm me down?
Thank you for giving me that scenario. I love that. What I would do with you is I will pull you into my office. Of course, now you're high on my radar because I see some concerns. And I would ask just for you to speak from the heart. Nobody is present, it's just you and I. And I would just genuinely ask to, for you to speak from the heart. So,
Okay.
depending on how deep you get, my job is also to make sure that I notify your family,
Right.
whether it be the parent or guardian or who's ever responsible for your upbringing. I have to be able to let them know because when it comes to school, I'm very big on training a child up and raising a child up. And I'm a firm believer that it takes a village. So, just outside of my input, I have to be able to have the input of the family because it does make a difference and it helps makes an impact. But again, just to be able to focus back on your frustrations, how you're feeling. Um, After that's all said and done, I have to tap in with the teachers, depending on what you tell me, because that can also vary too. It can also be a thing like if you're saying you're being picked on during lunch, right? We would have to see what's going on from that perspective. So, depending on the information that you give me and who's saying what, that's also a conversation with these families. Schools are
Okay.
supposed to be anti bullying. I don't like it. I don't do it. I will never promote it. So, for me, it is very imperative that I put my foot on necks very early on because these problems can become bigger challenges later on. As we know, when it comes to the bullying and the picking, sometimes these kids commit suicide. I would never want for anything like that to happen. I wouldn't want anything like that on my watch. I definitely would have to follow up with the admin team based on what you tell me. So there's a whole logistics. There's a whole big process with this. And
Mhm.
again, like I said, I enjoy it, and my job is to make sure that I'm nipping these things in the bud and getting you the help and getting you the services you may need. At the end of it, it can be a thing where you may need to be able to speak to a counselor, which for the most part, schools typically have on site counselors, social workers. But based on your family dynamic and the history that I may be getting from the families, my job may be to come in to provide some outside resources that you can look into, where you can do some extensive therapy and some extensive counseling on the outside of what school is.
Okay. So you mentioned bullying. Growing up, you had to have a thick skin. You need to be tough mentally and physically as well. So in this era, it's a lot of, sensitive children. So if
Yes.
somebody came to you and said, John said my mother has leaning shoes or she's fat, and something like that, would you consider that bullying or would you just be like this horseplay?
I think with that, it's a two-side tier fold. I think a lot of what happens now is it's very important to get both sides of the story, right? Let's see what's going on. I heard from your perspective, but for the other students that are saying things, I like to be fair and I like to be very transparent. I don't
Hmm.
like to just be one sided with the story. Because a lot of times what happens is in education, and I even have trainings and things that I do with families now, I feel like when it comes to the word bullying, it is widely misused, and we have to be able to narrow it down to really like what that looks like.
Okay.
So I do have a hard time when it comes to certain things with families saying, oh, you know what, my child is being bullied. That allows for me to now come into have I have to do like a thorough investigation. And 8 times out of 10, it's not that it's bullying, it's tit for tat. I said something to Joe Schmo first period, he didn't like it, but he got his lick back during lunch. So it's kind of those things, but even in that, so it doesn't escalate and it doesn't dispute over into bullying, it's still my job to be able to nip those things in the bud.
Okay. Describe 3 challenges you usually or typically face when dealing with students.
I would say the respect factor today
Okay.
is definitely on a level where it raises concern. I would say that becomes a challenge.
Right.
That's when I pretty much step in to have certain PDs. I am going to definitely do my best to do a lot of outreach. This is where I do the research. This is where I put my dean hat on
Okay.
and I'm going to work.
Right.
I would say another challenge is helping to combat the behaviors. Sometimes the behaviors that are displayed in school
Mhm.
are so tremendous outside of what my work scope is able to do. And sometimes connecting with those families and wanting to support, to give the outreach. Sometimes families want to shy away from it. They push away from it. They really don't want to test the waters in a sense
Right.
to be able to acknowledge certain things. So I would say to a certain degree that becomes a challenge.
Hmm.
And then the last challenge I would say is the overall coping skills when it comes to knowing how to navigate in today's society. Everything that is taught, everything that is being presented is to be able to set you up for success as you move along. So I think sometimes, I'm not sure if you're familiar with hearing about SEL that they may have in schools,
No,
social
not all
emotional
yet.
learning.
Okay.
So be able to break that down, again, that's what that is. Social emotional learning. We talk about the different components of, again, just coping mechanisms, how we're supposed to be able to adapt and achieve things in the world. So I think sometimes the curriculums are not really designed for marginalized students, and that causes the challenges as well.
Okay.
So I would say those would be the 3 challenges.
Okay. So do you feel that you have, and if you have, or would you continue to have an impact positive on these children's lives?
Oh, absolutely. I am somebody that is seasoned. I'm experienced. I work through the educational system pre-K through 12.
Okay.
I like to be able to tell people wherever you put me, I'm going to make magic happen. That's just who I am. I got the sauce, I got the juice. However you want to frame it, wherever
Okay.
you put me, I can tell you I'm going to inspire. That is my job. I'm going to continue to pull things out of students that they don't see into themselves.
All right.
I'm
All
a
right.
firm
Hold on for a
believer.
minute. Hold on for a
Yes,
minute. Since you mentioned the word inspire, right?
yes.
I'm a 13-year-old going through a bunch of emotions right now, right?
Hmm.
And I'm feeling like dropping out. Inspire me to stay in.
Oh, that's easy. I'm
Okay.
gonna continue to do my check-ins with you. I'm gonna check in with you at your highest points. I'm gonna check in with you at your lowest points. And depending on how you choose to open up, I know a lot of times, and having conversations with boys is a little bit different. So I
Okay.
always tell people to take what you envision here and what you feel here and
All
write
right.
it down.
Okay.
So I'm always going to make that connection. I'm going to know what you like. I'm going to know your favorite sports team. I'm going to know what you like to eat. I'm going to know what you like to drink. And I'm going to turn that into a session where it's all about you. I'm going to ask you the type of music that you listen to. So when you come sit down with me and you're talking to me, you're very comfortable. I'm going to play that music for you, but I'm also going to encourage you to write. I'm also going to speak into the king of you. As training my son up, I always told him he's a young king in training.
Okay.
And that's the same method and the same thing that I use for all of my students. And whenever they are down on themselves, I tell them to pick their heads up and I tell them to fix their crowns.
I like
So
that.
this is nothing, like I said, this is nothing new to me. We're going to get you where you need to be.
Yes. Okay, I like that. So dealing with children, students, it can be stressful and rewarding at the same time. What keeps you going back to work every single day?
Oh, just the love and the passion,
Okay.
knowing that each day that I walk into my building, I know that I'm going to give my all. I'm going to do my best. I'm always going to put myself into a position to do more.
Okay.
So for me, it like I said, it all falls back into the passion. You got to be able to have the passion. If you don't have the passion, it's not going to work. And again, passion is not something that you can teach.
Okay. So does work life affect home life?
No, and I'm glad that you asked that question because I have built a strong stamina for balance. I'm a single mom. I have two children. My work life is my work life.
Mhm.
We can yell, we can scream, you can email me all day long with the different tasks. But when 4:30 comes, it is a hard stop. I'm a completely different person. I'm off the clock. I will see you next business day. So I have learned to develop, in a sense, tough skin when it comes to that. I think that when people see that you tend to do more, sometimes that can be taken advantage of.
Right. They
And
use
I'm
you.
not that. I work full time, I'm a mom full time, and I go to school full time. I have to be able to create the balance.
Okay. So what is the difference between the students in this era versus when you were a student?
I'm going to say when I was a student, there was more active presence when it came to the families.
Okay.
I feel like back in the day, it felt like more of a community. If you did something wrong, although I wasn't the student that was always in trouble, I pretty much stayed on the straight and narrow. But
Right.
sometimes, my friends didn't do the right things. Parents is
Yes.
popping up. You had those neighbors that would look out for you. So by the time your parents got home or your guardians or whoever was caring for you, there was a story. I think that there back then it was more of a heavier presence when it came to families. Today, we don't see a lot of it. And when I do see it, I do appreciate it because it reminds me of my upbringing. It makes me think about my mom. It makes me think about your aunt.
Yes.
How they was always in the school, doing bake sales and doing things for the PTA. And
Yes.
again, it just felt like home away from home. It was more community centered. It was more community based. So I would say that would be the difference between my upbringing and what I see now. It would be nice to have more of the parent engagement and more of the parent involvement.
Right. Okay. So for those that don't know, the viewers, we come from the Bronx, the Loring Place between 183rd and Fordham Road, but we call it Loring War. And a lot of people didn't make it off that block, especially because it was tough growing up. You have to be mentally strong, spiritually, and emotionally. Where does your strength come from?
My strength comes from Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins, hands down. My parents. I feel that it was just the willpower that they had. My mom was able to raise children that were hers and also take on responsibilities for kids that wasn't hers, and
Right.
same with my dad. So just to be able to see them do that, that was very admiring to see. I
Right.
think In order for somebody to do that, you have to come with a lot of strength. You have to come with a lot of courage. You have to come with a lot of patience. So to be able to see both of my parents do it and do it so well, I would say that that's where it came from. It all started with my parents.
Okay, that's good. So emotions. Emotions is something that we all have to learn to manage, control, and maintain. How do you manage emotions as a dean dealing with students and staff members?
I give myself mental breaks. Sometimes, depending on the days, some days are more hectic than others. But whenever I know that those hectic days come, I'm in my office. I'm going to lock the door. Nobody can come in. I'm going to put on Sade. I'm going to put on
Okay,
some music that is going to uplift me. It could be Jill Scott, maybe Jay Blige, depending on the mood. But I have to be able to be grounded to be able to come back into music. It has to be able to be something that resonates with my soul, which is why I'm so heavily involved when it comes to music. I do things when it comes to looking at affirmations as well. I have to give myself the grace because this is a field where you're always going to give more than what you get.
right.
So you're constantly going, you're constantly trying to figure out the next best move. And once you make that good move, you want to be able to top that. So for me, having those mental breaks and taking the time to myself just to be able to recenter and to regather,
Okay,
again, depending on the day, that's how I deal with the stress.
okay. So now that you're a dean, what's next? Where do we go?
As I mentioned earlier, I am currently in school. So I'm in school full time. I am currently working on becoming a principal. I
Okay,
will be done next May.
okay,
So that is my next step. That's going to be my next move. The goal is to be able to open a school of my own. I have so many different ideas. I have things that I would like to be able to do to be able to uplift, inspire. And as you can see behind me,
of
when it
course.
comes to education, I got two heavy hitters behind me. I
I
got
see, I
Nip
see.
and I got Mr. X. So
Okay,
just even with that, like anywhere you walk into my house, you're going to see positive affirmations. As you can see, you can look at my wall. So anything to tie me into education is going to keep me going. But for a long time now, I knew like this was my calling and I knew that I would be good at it and I knew that I would make a difference.
nice. So before we end, I just wanted to say thank you for sitting down with me. I enjoyed talking to you, and it's very educational on what you do as a dean, as a Black woman, as a mother. I'm proud of you.
Yes, thank you for having me. I hope we can do more work and I hope we can collaborate more in the future. I love this. So thank you for actually having me. This was
Thank
dope.
you. So lastly, end this off with something positive or motivating.
Yes. Anything that you envision in your mind, anything that moves you in your heart, follow it. Make sure you talk to people that can guide you in the right way. Never let anyone or this world take away your passion. Too often we are distracted by nonsense, and it is time that we come together as people and we focus on real things. Get back to the place where things matter. Just know that you matter, your dreams matter. It's a reason why it's on your heart. It's a reason why it's on your mind. It's a reason why it can't shake you. That's because it's meant for you to go after. You put yourself in pivotal situations where you can surround yourself by positivity. Always be around people that can encourage you and inspire you and uplift you. Be motivated to your goals, be motivated to your dreams, and just know that sometimes the biggest applause that you are going to get is for yourself, but that's okay. And know that there's going to be times that on this path and on this journey that you take, everybody can't come. That's okay too. Stick to the script, stick to the course, follow your heart, and make it happen.
Right. I like that. Well, this is Interest Free, episode 2, Higher Learning. I'm Whidbee. That's Miss Christine Jenkins, and we out. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.